If you're starting your seeds for your fall garden in July and August and they're coming up leggy, pale, weak, or you lose half of the plants before you even get to transplant, you're probably making one of these 5 mistakes. I've made every one of them, and I'm going to show you how to avoid them. Mistake number 1 for your fall garden, and it probably kills more fall gardens than any other mistake on this list, is going to be starting too late. Here's the trap. It's already hot outside. Your tomatoes are producing, you're harvesting peppers, everything seems great, and fall seems like it's months away. But that's the trap, because by the time you decide to start your seeds, you've already lost. And the math for this is unforgiving. You need to work backwards from your first frost date, which for some have sown 6B is of course October 15th. Now you got to count backwards for your brassicas, 6 to 8 weeks. We're talking cabbage, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, collard greens. Then you're going to need another 6 to 10 weeks in ground just to get to the point of harvest. And of course 2 weeks to deal with hardening off, because once you start hardening off, it stunts the plants. And then once you finish your transplant, it's going to stunt the plant. So that's going to put your seed starting right towards the beginning of July, mid-August, not September. This fix is actually fairly simple. All you got to do is figure out when your first frost date is, deduct the days to maturity from that by counting backwards, give yourself the 2 weeks, then give yourself 6 to 8 weeks for the seedling stage, and that'll be your seed starting date. And you're going to want to write that on a calendar, set a date on your phone, and if you miss that window by about 2 weeks, you've missed your window to harvest. If you drop your first frost date down in the comments below and what crop you want to grow, I'll let you know exactly what day you should be planting those. Mistake number 2 is going to be starting seeds in the wrong soil temperature. Now this one's a little counterintuitive because most people think that heat equals germination. In a lot of our spring and summer crops, this is true. But for our fall brassicas, kale, cabbage, broccoli, bok choy, they prefer their soil temperatures to be between 60 and 70 degrees for germination. Not 85 or 95 like it is right now. And we definitely don't want to be starting our seeds on top of the refrigerator or a seedling heat mat. In my house, the coolest room is of course my laundry room, which is where I do all my seed starting. And since I like to keep my house between 65 and 68 degrees throughout these hot periods, it keeps the perfect temperature back there. It's nothing glamorous at all. It's the same exact setup I use for my spring seed starting without the heat mats or heat sources. And it sets up the perfect environment for seeds to germinate back there. And that's the real secret to healthy seedlings, trying to keep everything as consistent as possible. Now, if your seedlings are coming up pale and looking leggy, that may not be an issue with your lighting. That could actually be an issue with too much heat. Warm soil speeds up stem growth, and the stem will actually grow faster than your light can produce, creating pale, leggy seedlings. Whereas whenever it is, because they're actually truly leggy because the light is too far away, most of the time those will actually still be a green and really tall, stemmy looking. If you can, bring the temperature of the soil down a little bit, or put your seed trays in the coolest room you have, laundry room, basement, spare bedroom that's not got a lot of heat going in and out of it. Number 3 is hardening off seedlings in August like you would in April and May. You're taking them outside into a gradually warming situation, whereas during August, you're taking them out in a furnace. This is the one that I've actually had the most problems with, because with these storms that keep rolling in and out, I keep thinking, oh yeah, overcast is going to help. This is not true. I've bleached a couple plants already this year. But once you take those seedlings and you put them in the direct August sunlight, it only takes about an hour to dry everything out, bleach them white, and just completely make those plants toast. So my secret method to defeating the August sun is, of course, shade. For me, I've got my rabbit hutch up against my garage. The sun rises on the back side of it. So until about 11 o'clock noon, they're never in direct sun. So I start with an hour a day, and I leave them in that shade of a morning time. And then over the course of a couple of weeks, I will let them continue to harden off in that spot and slowly increase their amount of sunlight. But make sure you're watching them at first, because if they start looking sad, droopy, anything like that, go ahead and bring them right back inside, because it will not take long for them to be completely terminated by the sun. Now, if you don't have a shaded area under a tree, a porch, using the garage shade, you can always just put them outside for an hour of a morning time in the sun, because it is a lot softer than this afternoon sun is. If you put them outside for an hour day one, and then just keep increasing the time as you notice the plants are taking it well, they'll do a lot better. And I will do this for 7 to 10 days, even 14, 15, just depends, instead of the 5 to 7 I normally do in the spring. Even with the overcast we've been having, the plants are still struggling a little bit. Mistake number 4 is going to be planting the wrong varieties. And this is one that I've actually been taking a little more seriously over the last 2 years versus previously, because I lack the knowledge of what I was looking at. And a lot of seed catalogs don't necessarily explain this very well, I guess would be the way to say it. So you want to go with a slow bolting variety or a heat tolerant variety. And when you go to specialty seeds places, as in Botanical Interest is one, M.I. Gardener, there's probably about a dozen more that I've ordered from that I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but those are my big ones. They actually tell you directly whether it's heat tolerant, whether it's slow bolting. I have all sorts of information in their catalogs that can help you pick a better seed variety for the time of year that you're trying to plant in. My spinach is different in the spring versus my spinach in the winter. Because if I put spinach out right now, even in seed starting indoors first, is going to bolt like crazy right now, even as a seedling versus some of the more heat tolerant varieties. But my favorite one that bolts every single time is, of course, going to be bok choy. I've planted it in the spring. I've planted it in the fall. I'm still working on the exact window I can pull this off, but I do have one plant right now in the shade that if I can keep the cabbage worms and the cutworms off of it, we might have a chance. But the easiest fix for this is, of course, checking the varieties and taking that couple 30 minutes at most to read to make sure you're getting the proper variety for the proper time of year. Spring anything is not going to work as good in fall as a winter fall slow bolting variety. And mistake number 5 is going to be, of course, the pest wave that nobody talks about. Your beautiful butterflies, our caterpillars right now that just want to eat all your plants and turn into that beautiful butterfly. And even though they are just fancy to look at, when they eat your plants, it's a nightmare. Cabbage worms are everywhere. Cutworms are everywhere. The little butterfly, there's one down there right now. It's just terrible. And I almost forgot about my mortal enemy, the flea beetle. Man, these things are hard to deal with. Just putting that out there. I'm looking for an organic way to deal with flea beetles. If you got any, let me know in the comments below. It looks like someone peppered a bunch of holes all through all of my eggplants, old leaves and new leaves. I've tried a bunch of stuff, but they're just not cooperating. In spring, the pests are just starting to wake up, but of course in August, they are in full swing and they are hungry. So here's what I do to deal with them. I have 3 things that are completely organic that work on most pests, except the flea beetle. Still working out the flea beetle. And you got neem oil, BT, and spinosad. Those are my 3 go-tos. I'll start these as soon as I put my plants in ground. I'll give everything a good dose around there with the neem oil. Then I'll switch back and forth between BT and spinosad. You can only do spinosad 5 times a year before the pests become immune to the bacteria. But also remember, it depends on what pest you're dealing with. So if you're dealing with caterpillars, worms, loopers, stuff like that, BT will work just fine. If it's beetles of any kind, our big ones right now are the flea beetle, Japanese beetle, and whatever that fig borer beetle is. Looks like a really great big Japanese beetle. Not really sure exactly the extent on those ones, but they really like to bore holes right through the middle of the wife's sunflowers, which is really obnoxious. Now, I will say I would rather do it at night instead of taking the chance to find out that there are beneficial insects that are affected by it. And we want to treat these as a preventative, not just, so we see pest damage, oh, we're going to spray. I like to start neem oil day 1 when I plant. All 3 of these will break down naturally. There will be no chemical residue left in your soil. They're pretty effective. They're pretty affordable, especially when you mix all 3 together. There's a monarch butterfly. That's awesome. Let's recap. You're not starting too late. Work backwards from your first frost date. We're going to germinate in the right soil temperature, 60 to 70 degrees. We're going to go for the slow and gentle hardening off instead of just throwing them outside and hoping for the best. We're going to try to get some bolt resistant varieties, fall bolting, heat resistant, And we're going to try our best to stay ahead of the pests using neem oil, BT, and spinosad in alternating weeks. Once they're up, you can thin them to 6 to 8 inches. I like to tease mine up. Can do gentle misting if you so choose. Just remember, damp sponge, not drown. We want 14 to 16 hours of light a day, and a simple $8 fan can keep those plants kind of small, keep dampening off, and fungus gnats down with just a couple hours a day of running the fan. And that's it. You follow those 5 rules, you'll have beautiful transplants that produce a really great harvest. And if this video helped you out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're adding new content every week that's been tested right here in my very own garden. Drop a comment, let me know what you're starting for your fall garden. I read every one of them. If you let me know where you're growing at, I'll try to help you work through any problems you're having. Carter's Gardens, we're growing clean, synthetic free, just good food from good soil, and we'll see you in the next one.